Hello everyone, welcome back. The topic to be discussed today is disaster management. We'll have a focus on cyclone. First, the definition of disaster which happens. Disaster means that any occurrence which causes damage, ecological disruption, loss of human life, deterioration of health and health services on a scale sufficient to warrant an extraordinary response from outside of the affected community or area. This is according to the World Health Organization in 1995. So damage which is caused by a disaster is immeasurable, which varies with the geographical location, climate and type of earth. So this influences mental, socio-economical, political and cultural states of the affected area. So here we are going to focus about cyclone. Cyclone, it refers to any spinning storm that rotates around the low pressure area. So closed low atmospheric circulation, strong winds and a spiral arrangement of thunderstorm that produces heavy rain. So cyclone, it can be characterized by inward spiral winds that rotates about a zone of low pressure area. So warm cyclones such as tropical cyclones, subtropical cyclones that lie within the synoptic scale. So mesocyclones, tornadoes, they are also within the smaller meso scale. So cyclones are also seen on extraterrestrial planets such as Mars and Neptune. Cyclone due to latent heat driven by significant thunderstorm activity. So cyclones, we'll see the classification of cyclones. So cyclones are of different types of storm. Here are the major types. One is called tropical cyclones, second is called polar cyclones, and third is called mesocyclones. First one is tropical cyclone. They are the most familiar with the people because these are cyclones which occur over the tropical ocean regions. Examples hurricanes and typhoons are examples of actually this tropical cyclones, but they have a different names which is clear according to the storm which is occurring. When you say it as hurricanes, they are found in the Atlantic areas, North Pacific, and when you say it as typhoons, it is in the Northwest Pacific areas. So here what you see is a tropical cyclone. You can see it is a spiral which is in the sea. Second one is subtropical cyclone. So they have a characteristics of the tropical cyclone. It forms a wide band of latitude, especially from the equator to the 50°. Here what you can see a broad range of circulation from the center. So this is called as a subtropical depression. Third is polar cyclone. Polar cyclones, they are low pressure weather systems which spans from 1000 to 2000 kilometers, in which the area circulates counterclockwise in direction in the northern hemisphere and clockwise in southern hemisphere. So based on the hemisphere, the cyclones, it will differ. The last one is mesocyclones. This is just occurring in the part of the thunderstorm cloud and it will start spinning, which finally leads to tornado. So here meso means middle. So here is how a cyclone is formed, and you can see how is it formed. This is a tropical cyclone. You have the low pressure area where the air is raised and you have an eye, and when it goes up, automatically the warm air which is cooling and the direction is counterclockwise in one. So tropical cyclones, it can form only warm ocean waters near the equator. So to form a cyclone, warm moisture over the oceans rise upward from near the surface. So they moves up and away from the surfaces where less air in the surface. So air, it will be surrounding the areas with higher air pressure pushes to low pressure, and automatically the cool air becomes warm and the moist rises, and finally the cycle it continues. So as the warm moisture rises, cool water it forms the clouds. So the whole system of clouds and wind spins and they grow. This is fed by the ocean heat and the water evaporating from the surface. So as you have the storm, it rotates faster and faster and it forms a eye in the center. So it is very calm and clear in the eye at a very low pressure. So when the wind is rotating, it reaches to a maximum of 39 miles per hour, or you say it as 63 kilometers per hour. So this is called a tropical storm, and the wind speed it reaches to a maximum of 74 miles per hour. So this is called a tropical cyclone, or it can be named as a hurricane. Here is the common differences between a typhoon, hurricane and a cyclone. So it's not a much big difference. It will based on the storm where it occurs. So hurricanes, cyclones and typhoons, they all have the same phenomenon. Only thing the name is different. So in Atlantic and Northeast Pacific, it is termed as hurricane, and the same one which is in the Northwest Pacific, it's called as typhoon, and cyclones it occurs in the South Pacific and Indian Ocean. Now, coming to the causes of cyclone. So, as said, the main energy of cyclone is the warm oceans in the tropical regions. So, when the sea surface temperature generally it increases above 26.5, the existing cyclone often persists and they try to move over the cooler water. So, this development of tropical cyclone relies on favorable broad, that is scale wind regimes, which can persist on several days and many quite erratic pathways. So weakening it occurs in the cyclone which moves in an unfavorable wind regime which disrupts the structural system. So sometimes decaying tropical cyclone it will interact with the weather system in the higher altitudes which will cause impacts far from the tropics. So when you say it as impacts of cyclone, you have the strong wind, large storms, which surges the landfall as well as tornadoes. So the destruction from the cyclone, it depends mainly on the intensity, the size and the location of cyclone which has passed the devastation and often continues. So wind, it's a category of one cyclone which causes minimal damage to shrubberies as well as trees. So category 5 storms, they are most forceful and can bring winds to up to 156 miles per hour. So this wind is so fast that it can rip trees from the ground and flatten buildings. Cyclone, it can also lead to flooding. First one is the tropical cyclone. It can surge in ocean waters causing to increase in sea levels above the normal one. Sometimes this surges called as tidal waves can drown people and animal and is the greater killer in the cyclone. Sometimes cyclones it can also bring torrential rains finally leading to flood. When water comes you'll have the erosion. Erosion is the soil is eroded where high winds can erode the soil damaging the existing vegetation and the ecosystem. So sand and soil they'll be blown into other areas which can damage the vegetation. Second is the storm churn, which happens when a cyclone wind churns up cold water as it moves across the ocean. Here, churning lowers the water temperature after the storm has passed and there are chances of formation of new storms. What are the effects of cyclone? Cyclone, it causes heavy rainfall and landslides. It can harm the towns, villages, causing several damages. Coastal business like shipyards and oil wells are also destroyed. They can harm the ecosystem. Civic facilities are disturbed. Agricultural lands are affected. Communication systems are also badly affected due to cyclones. What are the safety measures can be done? Initially, you should have a list of emergency phone numbers of the local police, ambulance, as well as the state emergency. Second, we should store your important documents in the case of a cyclone, the certificates, passports, any photos or wills. There are chances that it may be eroded. So you protect it in a waterproof container or a safe deposit box. Trim the tops of branches well clear from your home, preferably fit the shutters or at least metal screens on all glass areas. If you have any type of loose materials in your surrounding or your property that can be affected, so that could be removed to avoid the possible cause of injury. So here are the cyclone categories. They have 5 different categories. One which can reach up to 125 kilometers per hour, second maximum of 169, third is 224 kilometers, fourth is 279, and the fifth is 280. So category 1, it will have a slight damage, damage to trees and farmland. Category 2, significant damage, it can damage the signs, trees, sometimes damage to crops. Third, structural damage, house roof and power failures can happen. Fourth, it will cause significant roofing and structural damage, airborne debris, widespread power failure. The fifth one is the most destruction one. Houses are flattened, cars are overturned. So to overcome this, we'll have the detectors. You have cyclone and tornadoes detectors, which can be done by pulse Doppler radar, photogrammetry, and ground swirl patterns. So here in the image, you can see the detectors. So protection against cyclone, you have 4 stages of warning. The blue one is the notice, yellow one is watch, orange is warning, and the red one is called as alert, and the white is clear and the cyclone has passed away. So what are the potential damages due to this cyclones? So you have the cyclones or maybe the local tides and local coastal configuration. You have the storm surge, wind and rain. So flooding can happen, beaches can be eroded, soil fertility is lost, damage to structure, power loss and communication loss, injuries and loss of life, destruction of crops, vegetation, livestock, water contamination in the supply system, land subsidence, and flooding of inland area. So these are the potential damages which occurs due to this cyclone. Thank you for your attention.